They were inducted into the Vedas and the Upanishads. Only later mathematics and logic and things like that. Whereas the modern, ridiculously, what called, I don't know what is the word I want to use. Ridiculously idiotic, stupid, moronic education design. It begin with 1, 2, 3 and lessons. Those educational criminals, they do not have any view of the world. They do not hope for a better world. They do not want to create a greater world. They do not want to facilitate the evolution of humanity. If they had that intention, definitely they would have introduced, at least reintroduced ethics and morals and values and norms about the citizenship and responsibility and responsiveness to the other people, like Japan is doing now. Till class 3, there are only those kind of lessons, like Finland is doing now. Okay. Anyway, most of the time, myself and Veena enter into a discussion. After some time, we remember that there is no stupid meaning in what we discuss in a little corner of this world. Coming back to the point, it is happening in another dimension. What is happening? What Anuradha said. In normal classrooms, a teacher is explaining a subject for half an hour and the student finally understands one single sentence. Oh, no. That is not what she said. No. It is something more than that. It is not that exactly, sorry. Whatever is told, it gets merged with the existing mindsets, thereby underestimating, undermining, ridiculing, defeating the intent of the falling drops of new ideas. That's a very, very critical point for every one of you. Because why do you want to become genius himself? I would say definitely the major purpose is to invite others into that possibility. The fragrance of the opening of your flowers should definitely reach at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Otherwise, why should you bloom? That's what I told you the other day. You have to become greater mystics than any of the existing mystics. In the sense that none of the existing mystics really talk about individuals to do a greater job in their office, to be more responsible in their work, to be more competent and creative in their work, whatever is the work. They don't tell the officers in the government who are their major disciples to be ethical in their work. They don't tell the entrepreneurs to be ethical. They are conveniently sidelining that aspect because most of their income is from such unethical sources. But you will be the one who will be also inspiring people to love the world. Love the world, meaning everybody's world is 1 or 2, 3 people you come across. World itself is absolutely misunderstood. They just use the word. I am concerned about the world. What world? What is their world? 2 people, 3 people, 30 people? Your world is wherever you is. And the exact number of countable people with whom you talk, with whom you interact. That is your world. Of course, the state is there, the country is there, the globe is there. Let them be there. So what? You cannot interact with all of them. Whereas everybody is very focused about what they call the bloody global village. They are concerned about what is happening in New York and Los Angeles and Tashkent and what you call Beijing. Okay, general knowledge, that's okay. But they should be responsive, like every tree is, to their world, the place where they are located, physical place. It should be kept clean, neat, properly set and organized. The kind of people, the father, mother, brother, sister, husband, daughter, children, servant, a driver, a colleague, watchman, etc., etc. That is the real world. Who on earth can deny what I said? This is also a mistake campaigned by the so-called mystics in their dialogues. Love for the world, peace in the world. You can see that in the talk of Paramahamsa or Vivekananda or Osho or all the mystics. They're all talking about the big bloody world to poor little individuals.
It's 2050.
So they're all blindly imitating that concern in a very illusory way. They should have told them, your world is wherever you is positioned. That is your world. Okay, so I'm just giving an example, a much larger example of what Anuradha pointed out. So the idea about a love for the world, that is just mixing with a general concept of the world in their mental network. So we have seen Amarthananda doing a what you call World Peace Conference. What the hell they mean by world peace here? What is world peace? A part of India and 200, 300 people from other parts of the world. Okay. So I would say that is why it is not working. I think in the languages of all these mystics and leaders, there must be some errors. And in that falling drops, if you analyze Amstor, you can see some errors, some fundamental loosened bolts in the very design of their communication. Therefore, even after listening to that and agreeing to that, the so-called disciples and the devotees and what you call employees and all people, they don't get the feel of it. So if in your communication package, it is to be a well-designed assemblage of ideas with every nut and bolt clearly cross-checked and properly fit. That's what everything is. There's a designer sitting there, Ramesh. Ask him. When every chair is designed properly and cross-checked for its fitness and its elegance, what about the elegance and the fitness or the firmness and the correctness and the elegance and the completeness of the communication chair you are supplying everybody to sit? So what? So I think half an hour is not enough. It's a marvelous interpretation, which I would say, which is a hit on the head of the word. There are the Bibles and the Korans and the Gitas and all these things do not work. And they have not worked. Because they have not prepared the minds of people to listen to that. They were all the foundations of their mind settings are as of now. It's Jack and Jill went up the hill and some A plus B the Oscar and 1 plus 2 3 and little maths and chemistry. All those things are the foundations of the very mind and intellect of the modern generation. Do you see the tragedy of the world? What is in their minds? What is the mind of a modern educated person? Nothing but an assemblage of some subject matters, some so-called ridiculous range of general knowledge, General knowledge meaning what is happening in New Delhi or Thailand or Hong Kong or something like that. Certain aspects about their work situation, certain concerns about some little things. What is the depth of the so-called lake of the mind? Yesterday, Ganesh Ravan was pointing out about the critical factor of depth. That also is to be everything. Every interpretation is to be further interpreted. There is no depth for the minds of status that Gaussian normal distribution curve, 97 point whatever percentage of human beings in this world, I'm telling educated people in the world, there is absolutely no depth. They may be imitating, duplicating some dialogues learned from the textbooks or books and journals, and they may deliver a talk before an audience. That's all. Which any idiot in the Toddy shop also will do. A beautiful talk on politics. And because that is their topic. So a CEO or a vice president or a political idiot may give a lot of talk, empty language. That's all. It is something like what under it is something like a dirty water. Water is poured into that, it becomes immediately dirty. Or, as I said, Anuradha, they do not have the engines to process the incoming data and understand its uniqueness and to implement. That is also a reason. Okay, I'm just talking about interpreting something and reinterpreting that because the world is an interpretation. The normal concept of God and religion nothing but based on interpretation. Policies and the systems are nothing but interpretations. Governments are nothing but interpretations. On the basis of some interpretation, they arrive at some setting and design. That's all. And their mind is filled with interpretations, all kinds of things. Every mindset is an interpretation. And that mindsets are interpreting the incoming drops of ideas and information. All right, okay, that's enough. Now, what else? What else? Can you see the slide?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, I think if I wait for this, we will have much more time delay. In the beginning, I said something about this diagram, picture, something critical, something significant. Maybe I said few things, but um, I said an important information about this picture. You can choose any.
That
Do not wait for right, wrong answers. Just respond. Yeah.
that you didn't know it was made black and white.
Once again.
That you didn't know it was made black and white by Ashwati.
Of course, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that is, I would say, the originality of her study. And I wonder why she made it into black and white. How do you interpret that black and whiteness of the diagram? Or what is the possible probable interpretations? You interpreted the falling drops, the ripples, etc. And there are many more to interpret. But anyway, I'm just introducing another avenue of interpretation. What is this black and white? Hello, by the way, a question to Ashwati. By the way, why did you do it? Okay. Now I can ask you a question. What is that question? Exactly. Yeah, that you don't have to know. That's beautiful. But I want this kind of things to happen to you. Because that is precisely the response of the so-called original mind. I have mentioned many times, all the great works in the world, none of them is created by conscious logical thinking. It is not possible. Every poem, every great painting, every new dance form, every new film, every new theater, everything new, it's so-called new. You just cannot have new thoughts. You cannot think about something about which you do not know anything. The so-called creative thinking is a false term. It is only to indicate the difference of thinking required, that's all. But nobody can consciously do a so-called creative thinking in the sense of thinking something new about new. It is not possible. That's why nobody knows who are the authors of the Upanishads and the Vedas and things like that. They did not put their name because by all conscious logic, I cannot do this. I have written in my book also, openly. This book is not written by me. It just comes to you. It just comes to you. It happens, I told you, originality with all kinds of human beings also, but they are not recognizing it. Uh, Nobody is identifying the moments of originality for them. Creativity may be a little bit different. Creativity is the second step. The idea originates and then you develop on that. That is creativity. So something you just do and it happens to be correct. Correct in the sense that happens to have wonderful interpretations and wonderful truths revealed out of that, for which you have to experiment sometimes. A writer also experiments. An established writer has experimented with a whole lot of writing. Many of them are not okay. When there is a published poem, there must be minimum 20 torn out sheets of sample writing. The so-called celebrated solitary reaper, 14 lines, it took, I don't have time to make you guess. It took 7, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, not 4 years, not 5 years, not 6 years, 7 years for the so-called William Wordsworth to be convinced about the whatever of that poem. Of course, not that every day of the 7 years he was doing that, but I know that was running in his mind. As I also told you, I am giving you the fruits of my dangerous journey of life. So every invention is out of trials and errors. There were so many errors. All right. So, all right.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Yeah.
So you said this Ashwati's idea came from the original mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Anu saying, it will not mix with it will mix with the common pool and become one? Is it from the original mind or from somewhere else?
That is precisely an evidence of creativity. That there is an available data there. She is meditating upon the possible, probable next signals out of that.
Okay, sir. Understood.
What does it indicate more? That's why nobody looks at Chinmayananda's writing as original writing. They are interpretations. Of course, it is a great interpretation, no doubt about that. But that also that requires what we call creativity. There is an available signal. Why this false? That was a moment of originality for Isaac Newton. Everything else was hard, creative work, doing that, devising experiments and things like that to find out the inspiration is originated or out of the blue. When the black was there, she just fixed upon that. But I appreciate that good question by Veena, as always. But by this, we are not underestimating what Anuradha pointed out. But at the same time, Veena, there is an element of origination everywhere. Because it has to originate from within, whether it is an interpretation or whether it is even a duplication of idea, it has to originate. I have heard many a time after the interviews, these management students, some of them come to my room and some of them crying. Oh, sir, there was a question. Just after getting out of the room, I remembered I could have answered this way. That response, though she was capable of, it did not originate at that point of time. Maybe because of tension or anxiety, whatever it is. Anyway, it did not originate. So there is an element of origination happening, nevertheless, no doubt about that. So that is very correct. That is a fact. When we are discussing all these things, I told you the other day, they are not watertight compartments. Like mindsets, the 9 mindsets or the 7 mindsets, they are all somehow interlinked also. But there are certain tips, unique tips, that's all. In other words, it is not that there is no originality without creativity, but it is the other way around. There cannot be any creativity without originality. All right. So, what more implications? Quickly, another 10 more minutes, and we have to go to Veena's presentation. I mean, this time, yeah.
Black and white is reducing the noise.
Again, that is wait. What is that interpretation? In which way it is connected to interpreting it in the context of mental process?
So with respect to mind, we receive lots of signals. So the attention and filtering out what is required, eliminating all the noise and attending to what is required. And from that perspective, if we can look at this black and white reduction of noise.
No, it is not really correlating. That way, that interpretation can be applied when there is an input with a lot of noise. Let us say in a discourse by a mystic like Osho or Vivekananda. I don't think there is any noise. Any other interpretation about the blackness, whiteness here?
Can I try?
Who is that?
Meenakshi.
All right, yeah. Meenakshi, her sound has changed a lot. I cannot know. In the earlier times, I could easily differentiate your sound. The sound has become altogether different modulation. All right, proceed. A very good modulation. All right, okay. Yeah.
I felt using black and white was a beautiful idea to represent the mind. Because in terms of the quality of the mind, black and white represents the polar opposites, which the mind is capable of being in terms of quality, as well as the thousand shades of grey in between.
Wait. No. Yeah, all right, good, good. This is also a critically significant. All interpretations are significant, but some of them are critical. That's a universal truth. Everything is important, but some things are more important, more dominant, more powerful. A horse is definitely more powerful than a donkey, by which we are not underestimating donkey. All right. So, what is the critical importance? Can you explain? Can you reinterpret? Can you go to the next orbit of interpretation of what you said? First chance to Meenakshi.
It's just an extension of what I said. The color also represents the
No, no, no.
quality,
No,
not
no,
just the
no, no, no,
process.
no, 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 no. You are underestimating the importance of what you said. You said the essence of what you said is what? Come on.
The essence is that it is those two colors are able to represent the polar opposites that the mind is capable of being.
Okay, wait. Okay, that's all. And you said in between there are words. Okay, that's okay. So, how do you interpret that? Of course, it's also, like Anuradha pointed out, very critically significant. Perhaps that is the major problem of the world, in fact. What is that?
So
Yeah.
these opposite poles, they cannot exist without each other. So
That is okay, but that's a very there is no advantage in that interpretation.
So these opposite poles are something like what we discussed: good, bad, right, wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a more obvious, more powerful, and like now in between, I also want to your attention to something else.
sir,
Wait. Keep it in your mind. Okay. Before that, it is so obvious, it is clear. I told you there's a problem of the world. On one side, they talk about Satyameva Jayate, and on the other side, they will do manipulation. On the one side, they say, I love you, and he secretly harbor great hatred. All right? And so on and so forth. Every moment, a lot of things. Correct. And like what Meenakshi pointed out, at most other activities and expressions of interpersonal relationship and other activities, there are wide range. Like modern schools advertise, we train the talents of students, hidden talents of students in their advertising, and they begin with rote learning only. Okay? So, all the advertisements. Okay, all right. What they say, they don't do. All right. Now, two significant, highly significant interpretations. Now, I am putting you into a much more challenging question. Reflecting upon so many interpretations, okay, Tintin was not there the last day. It was for about 40 minutes approximately, and continuing today. Looking at the interpretations, what are your observations? Or what observation you would like to make? What creative analytic observation you make? If you, for example, if you had written down the interpretations, or if you remember the interpretations, not necessarily every one of them, what observation you would like to make here about a wonderful property of our intellect? I'm giving you the clue.
I had a network glitch. Can you repeat that question?
It may be a little bit. Parvati may not be able to answer to that question because you did not listen to the interpretations that were made this Wednesday. Anyway,
Yeah.
there were about roughly almost everyone made average 1.5 interpretations, and every interpretation was discussed. And today it is continued. And I think Anirudh made an interpretation. Before that, Tintin made an interpretation. Then what Tintin made also is worth discussing. But we did not go to that. That's also significant. That is significant in terms of the theory of mind. But here, what Anirudh said and Ramesh identified, they are very critical for the very existence of every one of us as well as of the humanity. Now, Parvati, the question was, having exposed to all these, let us say, 15 interpretations, what are your observations about that interpretation? Or what, and I am giving a clue, what are your observations about the intellect based on those interpretations, based on listening to those interpretations?
Okay.
The mind is, so can I try?
Yeah, why not? Try,
Uh,
of course.
the mind is like the lake that is represented in the intellect is like the lake that is represented in the diagram. Each ripple leads on to the next one.
All right.
So each interpretation we get a new idea, and that leads to the next one.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Sir,
Wait, do you understand this? Yeah. But another the point is, it will be happening in a liquid surface, in nature process. But it is the one that should happen in the mind of a genius individual. It is not rigid, it is immensely flexible. While the normal distribution people hear a topic, they don't understand, they don't take it fully, as you said in the beginning, or if at all they take it, it is gone finished. Second, even for highly what you call systematic mind, whatever is learned, it remains there. That is the problem of education itself. Just the other day, I had a training program with the chosen people, and they are chosen with a great lot of effort. After about 6 months of communication, interviews, what you call video conferencing, blah, blah, blah. They are from the top institutes of India. All of them had almost consistently, definitely 95% plus from their class 10 onwards. All of them were BTechs plus MBA from top institutions, so-called top institutions. And they could not answer even the simplest questions. But they are all wonderful people in the sense that BTech rank, blah, 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 SSLC third rank holder was there. Whatever is received, like I told you, library. That library, they have mastered it fully and the book is tagged. That will be reproduced. It does not create ripples. That ripples can happen only in a flexible medium, flexibility of the intellect. This is connected with the so-called sixth mindset, Veena, the rigidity of the mind. And that is not the fault of the students because what they learn, they are the end products. The problem with the education is that the students are sitting there and learning the end product of all the researches. They cannot make any variations on that easily. That is the advantage of art subjects, at least little bit of variation. They reflect something on a little bit of poetry, little bit of story, little bit of something. That's why all major creations in the world, whether it is in art, literature, including in science, they are not by the so-called educated people because they have been trained in receiving ideas and stacking it in the library of their mind. Finished. They are mastered it. They will surprise you.